So most of the projects that I work on personally as a cinematographer usually have little to no budget. So over the years, I've picked up a couple techniques that really help you maximize a small budget and get the best image possible. So here are 5 ways to improve your cinematography on a budget. Tip number 1, shoot outside. Most of the time, shooting in an exterior location is always going to be cheaper than shooting in an interior location. A lot of the time, good interior locations cost money, and they require a lot more lighting and grip equipment in order to shape a cinematic image. If you're shooting with a small crew or you're a solo filmmaker, then shooting outside is usually free. Obviously, for larger productions, you will definitely need to retain a permit for shooting in public outdoor spaces, but if you're a small crew or a solo filmmaker, you can usually get away without having a permit a lot of the time. Also, shooting outdoors requires a lot less lighting and grip equipment. Shaping the available natural light is always going to be cheaper than lighting it from scratch. However, you should be mindful at what time of day you're shooting. Shooting at high noon when the sun is the least flattering can require a lot more diffusions, bounces, and negs in order to create a flattering image. And all this grip equipment can really start to add up. Tip number 2, shoot at the right time of day. Shooting at golden hour or blue hour are basically cheat codes for achieving a cinematic image. The sky's doing almost all the work for you in these types of scenarios. All you really have to do is show up on time and try not to miss it. Golden hour and blue hour, given their names, do not last very long, so I would just be cautious in planning a rather lengthy scene around this time of day. Tip number 3, minimal camera movement. Gimbals, cranes, dollies, steadicams are all super expensive, and you probably won't be able to get any of these on a super tight budget. There are definitely some indie approaches to these types of camera moves, but personally, I think they can turn out a little sloppy. I'd rather have a shot with great framing that's locked off on a tripod than a shot with sloppy camera movement. However, there are still some ways to get good camera movement on a budget. Shooting handheld is a great way to add some dynamic camera movement to your shot. Some ways to get smoother handheld footage is to add some weight to your rig. Adding weight to your camera rig can help get rid of some of the micro jitters you might find with a smaller mirrorless package. I've shot handheld just sitting stationary and slightly moving the camera, and then I've also used it for tracking shots. You can really get creative with this, it just kind of depends on the vibe of your project. A Dana dolly is a great way to get tracking shots going towards and away from your subject, and also going side to side. To rent a Dana dolly from most rental houses is about $150 Canadian, so it's pretty budget friendly in my opinion. Zoom shots are also another cost-effective way to achieve an interesting camera movement without actually having to move the camera. Tip number 4, good locations. Having a good location can really up the production value on a low budget project. Something that I like to do and that's worked for me in the past is driving around my area and trying to find some interesting exterior locations that might work for an upcoming project. I found this cool abandoned warehouse near my neighborhood a few years back, and I used it for a mini doc. I think it worked really well for this. I'm actually going to use it again for a low budget music video that I'm shooting next month. If you need a specific interior location for your project, just ask the people you know, family, friends, just really use your network. For this project I shot a few years ago, we needed a rather large garage with a workbench in it. I ended up asking a family friend and they had exactly what we needed, and they ended up giving us the location for free. You'll never know what people are willing to offer you if you don't ask. Tip number 5, production design. Good production design is definitely one of those things that I think really gets overlooked in filmmaking. I talked about this in one of my previous videos about how I shot in an apartment that was basically just a blank slate with a white wall. And I brought on a production designer to source a bunch of things to add to the space, and I think it dramatically improved the project. That's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.